Okay, so we're going to upgrade the Movistar router with this TP-Link one. Why am I upgrading? The first thing is this router here will not reach the sitting room. It's just a cheap Chinese piece of junk. To put it politely, this is a bit more expensive Chinese router. The speed in the sitting room is ridiculously low. It only just gets there, it goes on and off. So if you're, like, say, sitting there trying to watch something on YouTube, sometimes it'll just completely cut off completely. This router has additional 2 USBs on the back, 2 slots, so you can actually add, like we've done here. I use this as basically downloading off my PC onto there and use them as media sticks. So the kids' cartoons and stuff are on there, so they can watch them when they want. It saves them downloading them off the internet every time they use them. The speed on this one has never been above 20 megabytes. This one has 2 connections at 300 megabytes each, which basically is more than enough for what you need in a house. So first thing I want to say is that's the 2 routers. The next bit is I'll walk you through the software and what you need to get.
So now we need some information off our existing router, the little white one on the top, the Movistar one. So we type in 192.168.1.1. As you can see here, 192.168.1.1. I know I'm simplifying it a bit, but if you miss the dots, it won't find it. This is the address for that router. That's how it knows where it is on the network. So it's found it. And as you can see, this is the different things on my network, which there's currently 8, because this is Matt's desktop, is my PC. These 2 are laptops, these 2 are tablets, and these 2 are phones. I'm not sure what that one is. Something else on the network somewhere. Anyway, so the first thing I want to say is this button up here will convert everything to English. So if you don't understand in Spanish, just swap it over to English. Click on the ADSL button. What you want to do is check this name, ADSL PPPP at Telefonica blah blah blah, because this is your username that will basically tell the router. It will go to the server on the internet and say, this is me, log me in, this is my username, this is my password. So if this is different to what you see on the screen, you will have to call them. You'll see why in a minute. And that's the only bit we actually need off this screen here, this Movistar one, because the next one we want to go to is 192.168.1.1, then 2 little dots, 8000, and we've got another menu. Want it in English, username is 1234. I think it's only one, yep, and your password should be 1234. I might change mine on this, we'll soon find out. Yeah, so my password is slightly different, but yours will be 1234. Here we are, we're inside the unit, and now we're looking for the other bits of information we need, because there's 4 pieces of information we need. The first bit is that password and its email, the username and password. The next one, the easiest way of doing this is click Setup Wizard. Next, because you're not changing anything, so you're just going through next. Okay, this is the first bit you need, PPPoE. So you get your post-its out, which are on my desktop somewhere, and there we go. PPPoE, VPI is 8, VPI is 8, VCI is 35. You see I put a question mark and 32. There's a reason for that, because when I initially did this, because I've tested this already, the 35 didn't work. I put it to 32 and it did. So be aware, just put a question mark. If it doesn't work straight away, just try changing it to 32. And what's the next bit? LLC. So as you can see, it's not asking for any of this bit. It was never in there, so you don't have to put anything in there. Go next. This is the information for the Wi-Fi on that router. Go next. Okay, connection type LLC. So we've now got our LLC. Where's my post-it's gone? LLC, and we've got our username and password, which is the bits we took out the other menu. That's the only bits you need for setting up your new router. Now here's another little bit of information. You know, we were looking for that username earlier. That's it there. And if you go to this website, ADSL in Spain, it's pretty useful for information on routers. And I'm not going to take anything away from the guys, because I found it helpful, because it actually gave me my password. As you can see on the dynamic, it's ADSL PPP. That's our password, because obviously you can't see the password because it's got the little stars. But this is the actual password to use. So I copy that, and our username and password. Ooh. Where did I go? Hang on. So we want our username and password. So we know our password is ADSLPPPB, and I want to just copy the username, ADSLPPPB, onto the same bit. So that's our user. Just put username, password, and username. So we've got all the bits of information we need for updating our router. This is it. Another important thing is, if it didn't work, you can just plug your other router back in and it'll work straight away. So set aside like half an hour to do this. So if it doesn't work first time, don't get disheartened. You can just plug the other router back in and off it'll go, and it'll be back to normal. Because I know some people panic a bit. And if you do get stuck, if you want somebody to do it, I'm available. I'm currently in Spain at the moment, and if you want it set up, I'll set these things up for you. Anyway, let's move on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to disconnect the white router and plug in the black router. As you can see, mine are, I've got one on top of the other here. So all I'll do is unplug the cables from the one and push them in the other. I've got all the information I need. So like this is why I say sticky notes are really good for this, because you can put it right in front of you. And if you get pulled away for 5 minutes, you can come back, you're still where you are. If you have a bit of paper, somebody might move it while you're out the room. Okay, so here we are. As you can see, I put 192.168.1.1. Basically, this router has now replaced the other one, kept the addresses the same, and you'll find with routers they're generically always the same, unless it's a .0.1. But most of the time these days it's 1.1. Now check your manual for your login. This one is a TP-Link, which I believe is admin password. If it's not, it's admin. There you go. So we're straight in. As you can see, my connection is not working because it doesn't have that information that we took from the other router. If I go down here, it'll tell me I've got no internet. I've got no internet. So okay. So we go quick setup. 835. That's what we want. VPI 8, VCI 35. And like I said, if VCI doesn't work at 32 or 35, reverse it. Just go, alright, if it was 35, put 32. You know, it's very simple. We want PPOE, require username and password. Yes, we do, because that connects us to the server. Right, our username and password, we wrote that down. So let's get up our sticky notes. And this is why I use it instead of a bit of paper. I can just copy, paste, copy. Oh, don't make sure you don't put any extra gaps, because every gap it counts as a letter. So if you put an extra space in there, it sees it. So you just want to make sure it's the correct number of dots. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll just double check. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's correct. Click next. UK is fine. Auto's fine. LBGN's mixed is fine. What we'll keep that key for now. It's one that's got it in there. I'm just going to put that up there so I memorize it. Next, it's going to use the same key again, because this one's got 2 channels, 300 megabytes each. So you may only get it ask you this information once. So 835 PPOE ADSL, our password. It's got everything we need. Save. And then what will happen is the router will take the information. It may reboot because it's now having its configurations updated. Currently I've got no internet light whatsoever on my router, because it's still going through this process of this is what you need to do to connect to the server on the ADSL. And I'll click finish. And bear in mind, this may not be instantaneous. So here we are. Nothing's happened. It says initialized, disconnected, disconnected, disconnected. And what I may have to do is just leave this for 5 minutes and come back, go and have a cup of tea, and hopefully it should have sorted itself out. As you can see, we now have an internet connection. This is our IP, our gateway, our DNS, and our connection. Information relating to the channel. Our internet is not exactly fast, but as you can see here, it's actually got 2.4 meg downstream, which is pretty naff for a 10 megabyte line. 320 kilobyte upstream, which is also pretty naff. I had the internet faster than this when internet was first being introduced to the UK, so it's not exactly the best, but at least we've got our internet up and running. Let's just renew our Facebook page. There you go. No problem, load it straight away. A little bit of a tip. If you don't get a connection straight away, one thing you can do is sort of bump start the router. Use the white router to actually make the connection and get the internet going. Then whip the telephone connection out and drop it into the other router, which is still set up and switched on. Because for some reason there seems to be, not everybody's going to have this problem, but for some reason it was struggling to get that connection. It just didn't recognize the ADSL line being there. But using the white router to open it up and say, hey, here I am, I want internet, etc. Then just taking it out and dropping it straight into the other one, it works straight away. I'm going to have to watch that over the next few days, because that's not something that I've come across very often. But it took me about 20-30 minutes of waiting and trying different things, rebooted the router, nothing happened. But taking the cable out and putting it in the new router, it worked instantly. So there's obviously something to do with the connectivity in Spain. But like I said, if you're not getting a line showing, because you've got 2 lights on your router. You got your first light that will actually show that you've got a telephone connection, which is your internet connection showing on your router. The other one is actually saying it's synchronized and the connection's usable. If you don't get the first one and the second one on, you've got no connection whatsoever. That's basically what was happening on the router, which is why I took the cable out and put it in the other one, and it worked fine. Bizarrely. But as I found it works, I just wanted to share that. Thanks for watching.